Welcome to Ashley On, your one-stop podcast where we talk about health and wellness, spirituality, and all things new. Stick around as we delve deep into innovations to support a better world.
Hello and welcome to the show. Today's show is part 2 with Siobhan Maguire. We're getting her reaction to the podcast that I did with Margaret Starbird recently, where we talked about the search for the Holy Grail and Mary Magdalene and Jesus and their relationship. And I asked Siobhan to please take a listen and to join me and talk about her response to this interview and her thoughts. So it's a fantastic interview. We talk about Jesus and Mary Magdalene, the Ark of the Covenant and the dawn of the new day. We touch about the Knights Templar a little bit and their role in building some of the cathedrals across Europe that honor the feminine, and the reality that the light has already won. It's a great show. Hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Today's show is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley focuses on leadership and team development through experiential learning. Experiential learning is proven to be a much better way for people to learn. People have enhanced communication and trust. They have better engagement in their job and satisfaction with their job. They make faster decisions as a team. It really improves communication and morale, and ultimately just leads to superior learning outcomes. So it's really focused around igniting the potential of your leaders, helping them overcome challenges and drive lasting team change. MorrisonAlley.com is where you should check this out. We also provide marketing and strategy work for businesses to help grow, implement new technologies such as AI to help streamline the business and improve efficiencies. Check it out, MorrisonAlley.com. Siobhan Maguire, welcome back to the show. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's part 2 of our conversation about the importance to restore balance more toward the feminine in our society. And specifically, we want to get your reaction to the show that I did with Margaret Starbird.
So, Ashley, thanks for having me back again. I mean, to be honest, there's so much to say. And I just want to start by saying how much respect I have for Margaret's work. I mean, since your interview with her, I went and bought her books because I had to know more. So I've got both her books here, and I know she's got a couple more, but so many things that Margaret said triggered memories of what Jesus and Mary Magdalene have already channeled through me. So Margaret is very much coming from me from very much as the researcher as to what is available in the scriptures and in the secret texts. And she's gathered that all so beautifully together in her books. But you've got someone like me, who's a channel for spirit, who's a channeling. Now I channel the essences. Do you want me to make it very clear to people? I channel the essence and the vibration of the souls of Jesus and Mary Magdalene through. So I'm not declaring in a past life that I was ever Jesus or Mary Magdalene. I'm just allow myself to be a vessel to allow my vibration to connect in with the vibration that they want to channel through me so they can share wisdom and messages through me. So I am basically a messenger for them to use my body as a conduit to bring those messages through. So just to be very clear at the beginning of this, I don't know scripture in a huge amount of detail. So when Margaret started talking about some of the information in her book, it was just, she's coming from what has been written in scripture, and I'm coming from what has come through me as a channel directly from Jesus and Mary Magdalene. And it was like light bulbs going on. It was like ping, 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 connection. It was such beautiful confirming to me that the information I'm getting is, this is true. It is right on point. And this is the evidence to back it up. So I just wanted to start by doing that. Right.
Yeah,
Oh
thank you.
no,
That
it's so positive. I would love to meet this lady. I know I think she said she was 84, but just her vibration is so strong and powerful. And it was the sort of thing I get on a plane to go and speak to her, because I just loved her energy and the piece of work that she's done during her life. It's just incredible that
well,
she's brought all of this to the fore,
I'll introduce you at least so you can maybe have a conversation with her because I'm sure she would love talking to you as well. And
Yeah, no, I'd love it. I mean, I
she's taken
just,
a lot of hits in her life. I mean,
oh,
what
absolutely. I
she's
can only imagine. I can only imagine.
yeah, she's such a kind, warm spirit, but you can tell that she's it's been difficult for her to communicate what she's learned, and she's
Yes.
people want to trash her and they want to say that it's blasphemous what she's saying, and I've got a
I
lot of
get this all the
admiration for her.
time.
Yeah.
I get this all the time. I mean that I should be burnt at the stake for heresy. That people, death threats from people. You know what I mean, that I am carrying the Antichrist
Why do you think
information.
that is? Why do you think
Is
people are
they're
so
threatened. They're scared of the truth. People don't want to hear the truth. Um, because do you know what? It is much easier as humans to go with the flow, to not stand up and out, to become part of the wallpaper, to fit in. Because number one, what it is a reflection of lack of love for self. Okay. So
Mhm.
you're not willing to be brave and strong and courageous and step up and speak your truth. You just want to play small and keep up, as we would say here in the UK and Ireland, keep up with the Joneses. You want to be loved, to be part of the same as everybody else, rather than being the beautiful, unique soul that you came here to be. Now, all of us light workers on the planet, ever since the very moment we have touched base into our human body, we have been attacked. All of us have. And I have been told only a couple of weeks ago, while I was in St. Mary's Church in Glastonbury, by Jesus, he has said to me, the attacks are going to keep coming, and they're going to keep coming for as long as I'm in a human body. He said they're going to keep coming. But I, he has placed personally the mark of God, the seal of God on my bodies and fields and on my family, and I have no fear. I have no fear because I expect it now. So it's like this is coming at us, and it's gonna come at us, because this is the duality of the world that we live in: the light versus the shadow, fear versus love. And we came here to bring love to this planet, and there's other folk out there that don't want us to succeed. So and there's a lot of folk out there as well, that let's say are in male bodysuits, that don't want to pass the baton and hold the male and female, to hold the baton together. They don't want us to do that, because they go, well, I'm quite happy standing in my glory, and it's all about power. It is all about power
It's
for,
fascinating to
you
me
know,
it's just fascinating to me that people, and Margaret and I talked about this a little bit. I mean, it doesn't take away any of the power of Jesus uh, to have these conversations. In fact, it makes him even greater, in my
oh,
opinion,
absolutely.
in my heart. I can feel it because Jesus said the power of God is within us. So why would we want to,
But to
ignore
deny, to
these
deny,
realities?
deny the fact that this denial of the feminine aspect is denial of part of ourselves, because every single one of us has the male and female within us. And
Mhm.
it's Father, Mother God. In order for there to be a creator aspect, there has to be a feminine.
Right, right.
There has to be a feminine to be the creator. So those of us that are in the female bodysuit at the minute, we birth God through our God selves, because we're all made in the image and likeness of God. We're all Christed beings when we move with the will of God, when we choose love, because that love is the aspect of God within us. It is the Christed element of us. Now we can also, every one of us has the ability to bring in that Antichrist energy as well. So that is the fear energy. So the fear energy is the Antichrist energy. The love energy is the Christ energy. Now, let's just say the Antichrist is not one being, and the Christ is not just one being either. It is, we are it. The Christ is within, and the Antichrist is within us, light versus shadow. So when people, are talking about, the power of the beast, no, that's, well, the beast is actually in you as well. So let us not look too much outside ourselves to judge, until we make peace and tame that beast within. So this is the balance that has to happen on the planet, where we take the male aspect of ourselves, that logical egoic self, and we allow it to merge. So it's the left brain and the right brain, the logical versus the emotional, allow them to come together as complementary aspects of each other, to merge together, to hold hands together and walk home together as one, unite together as one. Because we can't do it ourselves. You cannot ascend at the end of this incarnation unless you have made peace with this, unless you have brought that balance in male and female back in, to be able to return home to Father, Mother, God, the dual aspect, because everything in creation has the dual aspect. It has to, in order to create. There has to be the equal opposites to come together in secret union, that secret marriage, to create. So to me, it's such a beautiful message. And Jesus had such huge respect for the feminine. And let me just tell you a story, Ashley, of something that happened over Easter. So I made my way to St. Mary's Church in Glastonbury over Easter weekend. And I was sitting in the church there, and the vibration of Jesus, Mary Magdalene, Mother Mary's vibration, it's just huge. When I walk into that church, actually, the energy just makes me want to cry. I'm not sobbing, but the tears just pour out of me. The love in my heart is just monumental, because they're there. Every time I go there, I'm letting them know I'm going, and they go, "Welcome back, child," And I walk in there, and it was so interesting, because there's such a beautiful priest, and I really have such respect for this priest that runs that whole community there. And I was 7 hours in the church on the Saturday, and you go, gosh, but when I connect into spirit, time and space don't exist. I was there for 4 hours and realized, wow, I probably should go and get some food after a 3-hour drive there. I went and got some food, and I came back at 9 o'clock for the Easter vigil, the lighting of the Paschal fire outside the church and that. And it was so amazing, because the priest came in, and once, the lights were relit again after the death of Christ in the church, the lights were all back on. He started his sermon. He started talking about the importance of the feminine within the church. And he started talking about, thank goodness for Mary Magdalene. Thank goodness for all the women who attended Jesus, because nobody wanted to believe her that the Christ had risen. But thank God that they were there. They were so loyal to Jesus. They did not betray Jesus. It was the male apostles that betrayed Jesus. The women were so loyal, they never left his side. They were there at the crucifixion. They were there. They tended his body. They were, Mary Magdalene was the first to be there for him. So we were the loyal subjects, let's say, in the female bodies, who never betrayed him. And Jesus had such a love for the feminine. And when I channel Mary Magdalene through, Jesus, as I said before to you, he calls her my beloved. And she uses the same words, Jesus, Yeshua. And he prefers Yeshua, by the way, Yeshua, my beloved. So they were in secret union together. There was the secret marriage, and this is everything they channeled through me. And they have stepped into me. Jesus has stepped in on my left. Mary Magdalene has stepped into me on the right, and they came together in secret union within my body. together. And they said, we wanted to bring your masculine and feminine within you into union together. So this is what we need to all do. It is bringing the feminine and the masculine together within us, back home together, where we belong, in the state of oneness, wholeness, completeness. Otherwise, we're not complete. You can't ascend at the end of this life back up to heaven unless you are complete. And to be in a state of completeness, you have to have the masculine and feminine in sacred union together, in complete balance. And there are people walking around the planet that have reached that themselves. They have been on their journey so many times, and they literally have just that knowing inside them, and they've already done it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But there's huge resistance on the planet to this, because this is the completion of the time where the patriarchy, they're losing their power. And it's all about the power for the male. It's all about the power over others, the control over others. But because they don't want to allow the feminine to bring up and come into balance again, you know, and it's happening whether they like it or not, you know. And talking about something really powerful that Mary said, Margaret said, she talked about the number for Jesus being 888. And, you know, she talked about, his name when it was spelt in Greek alphabet, and that he was known as the dawn of the new day. Now, on the 8th of August, 2024, which was the last year, the 8th of August, you had the numerology. That day was 888. Now, I've written about this on my blog post, but I had a massive vision in front of several hundred people. It was a vision on the Hill of Tara, which is one of the most sacred sites in Ireland. It was where the kings and the queens of Ireland, you know, were crowned. And basically, it's the seat of the throne of Ireland. And on top of there, I was shown a huge visual of a chessboard. A game was being played out. There was the shadow as the dark pieces on one side, the light as the white pieces on the other, and they were playing this game. And the light moved out first, their queen, and the shadow moved their queen out. And then the light started moving a pawn out, and the shadow moved a pawn out. But then immediately they went to make an illegal move and skip a step and step in and do several moves together. The Lords of Power came right down on that board and they said, game over. We're no longer allowing this behavior. There are rules of this universe, and we're now, literally, they came down and said, game over, and declared that the light had won. Okay, so this is the 8th,
Wow.
8, right? So after that, when they declared it was won, the shadow aspects on the board parted way, and this little boy walks through the crowd, and he's holding this huge script. He walks in and he puts it down in the middle of the board. And I heard, this is the old contract for humanity that we have signed, that is currently in play, where we chose to fall from a state of grace to experience the full spectrum of emotions, okay? To move as far away from our God selves as possible in order to realize we want to come back home again, okay? So he placed that current contract in the middle of the board, and a fire was lit on the Hill of Tara. And then immediately, directly in front of me, I saw this huge griffin flying in. So that's half eagle, half lion. In its talons, it was holding this huge golden chest. And I heard, this is the Ark of the Covenant. It contains the new contract for heaven on earth. And it came down right in the middle of the board. And I was a tree on this board, and I had a key on my branch, and I literally came down and I put the key into the lock. Now, I wasn't allowed to open it. Only the Buddha boy, who was enlightened and pure of heart, was allowed to open up the chest. But everything went silent, and I was told to be continued. Let us see what decision humanity is going to make. Are they going to burn the old current contract, where we've fallen from grace and allow the new contract to be revealed? Or are they going to keep holding on to the old? Okay. So what is the Ark of the Covenant? The 888. As Margaret said, the 888, the dawn of the new day. So the 8th of the 8th of the 8th last year was the potentiality was offered to humanity for the dawn of the new day, which is the Christ vibration. You know, and it was when she said that, it just was just like click, 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 click with me. Oh my goodness, it makes sense. Because the Ark of the Covenant, I was told, is many things. And when I posted this on my blog post, I then had one of my subscribers send me an article in the early, I think it was the late 1800s or early 1900s, a group of Israelis had come to the Hill of Tara in Ireland, and they started digging up in the secret site of the Hill of Tara looking for the Ark of the Covenant. How crazy is that? You know? Wow. So I didn't know about this, but this is information that was forthcoming. But so there's this is an incredibly secret site. Now, obviously, it's not, I was told it's not physically there, but it's held in an etheric retreat above the Hill of Tara. So the Ark of the Covenant, I was told, is many things. It is the Christ. It is, and when she said the 888, I thought, that's it. You know, Jesus is the Christ. He holds he's the dawn of the new day, the new contract for humanity to choose love over fear, you know, to allow us to open up the gates of the Garden of Eden again, heaven on earth to be returned. So that opportunity, that potentiality was offered on that date. However, humanity didn't choose that. So that's why I've got to be careful what I say now, because I don't want to get too controversial, but
it's okay.
Okay, so currently this year we have stepped back instead of moving forward. We were supposed to choose something different at the end of last year, let's say. Humanity was meant to make a different choice, and they didn't choose wisely. So as a result of not making a wise choice, a wise decision, then there has to be an acceleration of other energies in order to force us to make another right choice. And that is why the beginning of this year, we have felt the intensity of 2025. Really, this huge acceleration of energies. And it's, as I talked about in my May update, we even see more now the huge divide, the huge duality, this separation, a huge separation now we can see. Those choosing fear, those choosing love, those choosing service to self, those choosing service to all, those choosing to step off the wheel of karma and ascend in this lifetime, and those that are going to have to come back again, rebirth again in a physical body. It won't be on this planet, though. I can tell you that now. I've been told that very clearly. On another lower dimensional planet to learn the lesson all over again. So it's all about choice. And Jesus has said this. It's all about choice. So we're seeing the great separation now, the great divide, the great duality. So when Margaret said that in her piece to you, it's all these little pieces of the jigsaw all just starting to come in and let us see the bigger picture, you know, of what was actually going on.
I just spoke. I just had. I don't know if you know Guy. Are you familiar with Guy Stephen Needler's work?
No, I'm not.
I'll update you. I've interviewed him several times on the show. He's a frequent guest, and he was just on again. It just got published a couple days ago. You might want to take a listen to that, because he basically says the exact same thing that you just said, that our mass ascension efforts have stalled, and that we chose unwisely.
Yes.
Those are
and
my
I
words.
think that you don't have to.
He didn't put a judgment on it. Those are more my words, but, and it's, I guess my question for you is, how do we help? What do we need to do anything? Like, how do we help society how do we do our part to help society make the right choice? Because I don't want to be here in this world where we've made the wrong choice. I want to be here for
Yeah.
the ascension and for the dawn of the new day, as you say, right? So
Yeah, and one of the biggest challenges that I was facing, and I really had to go into deep meditation and channel Jesus for this. And he said to me, and this is a big lesson I've had to learn as a healer for the last 24 years and being in service to other people. Siobhan, this is not your responsibility. Last September, or sorry, it was last, is it August? It was last September when I was in Dublin in the Port Clares Church there. And anybody, if you look at the post I had there at the beginning of this year, some of the messages that Jesus brought through, and it was very much about, he said to me, I had to surrender the responsibility that I felt for humanity as a whole. I had to let that go because he said to me, it is not your burden to carry, child. You have done your work to get to where you are, to allow you to be in the vibration that you are. But I had to work to get there. I had to do the work to allow myself to become the vibration that I currently am. And others need to do the same. You can't do it for another soul. He said, the most important thing that you can do is be the light that you are. And another channeling that came through recently, and I only posted it last the last couple of days on YouTube, was a channeling from the Council of Light, a group of highly evolved souls that came in, and they said to me, as a message for everybody, because I'm only a messenger, the message is always for everybody. It's never just for me. I'm just one of the all. They said, the more you shine your light, others will see your light and want to be your light. So you shining your bright as light and as brightly as you can, you're doing your job, because other people are going to feel that love, feel that light, and you're going to have such an impact on all souls who walk in your pathway. They're going to see your light and want to be that as well. So that is the most simplest thing that we can do to allow our love to be the new pandemic on the planet, to be that new virus. It's a love virus.
beautiful, right?
And allow that to, touch everybody, and for everybody to be struck by that magic, and open their hearts. Because they said in that channeling, those that have chosen to create a black rose within their own hearts, that is a choice. But that black rose can so easily be cleansed simply by allowing the rain to wash that darkness away, to allow that rose to open up fully, to allow them to experience the true scent of that rose, the true beauty of that rose, because that's within every one of us, and that is our sacred hearts. So both Jesus and the Council of Light have said to me, be the light that you are. That's all they're asking us to be. You doing this work, me doing my work, we're just spreading the light. And that's what our job is to do. We don't have to, out standing on our soapbox, being preachers, let's say, rather than a teacher. It's just you showing up every day as the brightest, lightest version of you, full with so much love in your heart. That's all we need to do. It really is.
That's wonderful. I thank you for sharing that. It really resonates with me. I think in what comes to my mind as I listen to you is patience.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for saying that, because that's exactly what Jesus said in the channeling. He said, we have already won. So what happened in the 888 event? What happened? The declaration of victory. The lords of karma, who oversee justice on this planet, they came down onto the board of karma for humanity and said, they declared victory. The light has already won. So what is happening now our human selves in lower dimensional reality, we're playing catch up. So we're now rising up to meet our future selves who already won. The light is already won. So Jesus said, I ask you to look through a lens of patience, because it's going to be a couple of years in human terms before we see the victory, but it's already happened. We already won. And I only talked about this on the 1st of May. I shared that whole message. If we can move forward from this moment in time in the knowing the light is already won, that's a game changer. That changes everything. So we're walking around, we get up in the morning, irrespective of what we're seeing just in the current reality, we know victory has already happened. Now, when I channeled St. Francis of Assisi back in October, and I also channeled St. Catherine of Siena when I was in Siena and Assisi as well, both of those souls said to me, there will be peace on earth by the end of 2029. And every part of me knows that. So, this is May 2025. Look at the acceleration of timelines. And the reason why it's so brilliant to know the acceleration is such a positive message. That means our vibration and earth vibration is increasing. We're rising, we're ascending. So everything's getting faster, it's speeding up. So like that, it's going to be end of 2029 and there will be peace. There will be, those that are choosing not to have that reality of peace, of love, and want to choose fear and war and lack, they will be moving to, and this is what I was shown, and this was a big piece of my Heal the Adam and Eve Within masterclass series that I just posted online, was I was taken to new earth. The masculine and feminine, when I was going through that, we were taken to a new reality, a new dimension. So what is going to happen is basically those that are choosing love versus fear, service to all rather than service to self, we are just going to wake up one morning and that's our reality is going to be our Eden, our return, heaven on earth. Those that are choosing war, power, control games, they're going to wake up and still be in the old reality. And that it's not as if there's going to be the sky is falling and there has to be an annihilation of this planet, because that's not our destiny this time. Humanity is destined to ascend. This planet is destined to ascend. But it is all the choice. Every single soul on this planet is being offered the choice. Do you want to go to New Earth? Do you want to ascend in this lifetime? But a lot of people, Jesus said an awful lot of people are still choosing fear over love, selfishness and greed versus, looking after the all.
Mm-hmm.
So it all clicks
Powerful.
into place. So I'm so, honestly, I'm so appreciative for Margaret. And there's so many things she said as well when she was talking about the secret marriage between Jesus and Mary Magdalene, and she was talking, her book about, Mary and the alabaster jar. And because when Mary comes in, she came in several times and she's anointed me. She's holding this jar and she anoints me with what is in her jar, and she anoints my chakras with that. So it just rings so true to me, what Margaret has written about in her books. It's like I have physically experienced that, or experienced it in the physical dimension on a vibrational level. Those true. And Mary Magdalene, when she talks about, Mary Magdalene, the messages that Mary Magdalene, went to France, the south of France, when I was in Provence, at Mary Magdalene's grotto at her retreat in the south of France there. And I mean, I channeled through, and it's on my blog post, the channeling I got from Mary Magdalene. It's everything that Margaret has said is what Mary Magdalene has said to me. And I was completely unaware of Margaret's books before all of this. So it just
Wow.
Mary Magdalene did survive. She did go to France. All the Marys, the three Marys went to France, and Mary Magdalene had a child called Sarah, and she is of the royal blood, the house of David, you know, and that was Jesus' child. So Mary Magdalene shared all of that with me, and you know, it's just so powerful to get that confirmation of what I channeled through myself, what I was personally told by spirit. So it's
You mentioned the
incredible.
three Marys. Who's the third Mary?
Sorry, well, Martha, let's say, but it
Okay.
was Mary. Because when I was in Marseille, we had this huge cathedral in Marseille in France as well, that I visited when I was in Provence, and I was told by Mary Magdalene to go there because she said Mother Mary's vibration is very, very strong there. And I went into that church, and and this is another place where you're going to travel to, Ashley, on your bucket list, to do list. But when you go to Provence, I mean, it's just incredible. And there's the whole history of the Cathars, which were like the Essene group of family, the families that supported Mary Magdalene, and while she was in France. So Mother Mary, there's a statue of Mother Mary in the cathedral in Marseille, and it is so lifelike. When I walked in there again, the tears started coming. I could feel her vibration. And it just looked like a live person there. And her statue surrounded by magenta, these roses. And I got locked in the cathedral in Marseille when she was channeling through me. I was in another reality. Now, the gentleman who looks after the cathedral told me that he had rang the bell several times, told everybody he was locking up the cathedral. But I mean, I never heard it. I was somewhere else. But I got locked in the cathedral in Marseille. And I
Wow.
thought, my mum, when Mother Mary came in, my mother came in as well, who had passed a couple of years earlier. And my mother was complete devotee to Mother Mary. So she came in with a huge message for me. So um I thought, am I going to have to stay the night in this cathedral in Marseille? But I had no problem. I would not have had a problem if I had to stay there all night, because the vibration was so beautiful. But at the end of the guy was still, the guy was locking up the outer gates when I suddenly came to and realized, oh, there's nobody else here. And then had to go around all the doors knocking and going, oh, I'm actually locked in the cathedral in Marseille for the night. But I banged and shouted a couple of times. And then I heard this Frenchman, a very irate Frenchman with a large set of keys jangling. And he gave me quite a telling off. So he did. And that he had nearly locked me in the church. But to be honest, I would not have had a problem spending the night in that cathedral if I had to. In some ways, it's sort of, part of me always thinks, what if I would have spent the night? What adventures would have I had in the church
Right.
that night? But because the Mother Mary is also connected to La Mer, the sea. So there's huge when she talked about Sarah and the festival, that the way the statue of St. Sarah is carried down to the sea as well. Just all of it, just actually, when you go to Provence, I felt so at home there. And Mary Magdalene said to me, the reason you feel so at home here, Siobhan, is because you remember you're part of the family of souls that were here, and you've such memories of lifetimes there. She said some very easy lives and some incredibly challenging and painful lives as well. But it felt like home to me, Ashley, Provence. So
I'm interested because I've had that feeling. What I think is a similar feeling to what you're describing. I've only had that happen to me really one time, and that was at Notre Dame in Paris.
oh yes.
I was, it's still, I can't even describe the feeling really. I mean, I think you understand it. I mean,
Oh,
for our
I've
listeners,
been there.
I was
I've
just
been there
totally
as well.
overcome. I was in awe. Tears were streaming down my face. It wasn't like I wasn't sobbing, like crying, upset. It was just the most powerful emotional experience that I've ever that I've ever experienced. And I want to go back. I want to take my son to go to Notre Dame, and now I want to go to Provence because I mean,
I know
any place where I can
you
feel
have to
that
go.
feeling, right?
Oh, yeah. But Notre Dame, so just having a look at Notre Dame, I remember I was there. It was probably 2000 and 2005. I went to Notre Dame. And I remember as soon as I walked in there, again, immediately the tears started coming, and the emotion in the heart is just, it's vast. And so what is happening in Notre Dame is a lot of people go in and they offload their burdens, because a lot of it's such a special place. And the fire that took place then years later in Notre Dame, that was, how do I say this? Okay, that was a sacrifice that was made of that building in order to purge the wrongs of the organization of the Catholic Church. So that was it was a sacrifice, let's say, that was made of that building, because that building was all, to me, it was all about sacrifice. It took on the burdens of everybody. It was like this secret heart within France that just leave all your burdens, just hand it over and leave it here. Because and again, it made an ultimate sacrifice for a huge part of that building in order to purge, I say, darkness that was in the organization of the Catholic Church for a lot of what took place within the church that was wrong, that violated, human rights, basic human rights. And that was, again, that church to me felt it was a sacrificial church. People went in and were able to, it took your burdens off your shoulders. And it took the burden for the whole Catholic Church, the Roman Catholic Church as well, and it purged that forward. So to me, it's such a beautiful place that it took that burden upon its own self to release it. And buildings, people got to understand, these churches were all built, and cathedrals were all built on the original sites of the goddess temples from past dynasties. So there's a huge energy vortexes there, where there's a number of energy lines and ley lines that crisscross over themselves. And that is why these Roman Catholic Church were built on these original goddess temple sites, because there's an energy portal there. So that portal in itself, it's a huge portal of love.
It's interesting because I just watched this program recently about the Knights Templar on Gaia. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Gaia.
Yes, I am.
Yeah. And they were talking about the Knights Templar were the builders of most of these cathedrals. And they were much more Gnostic in their beliefs, and much more balanced with the feminine dimension than were the Roman Catholics. Like they played along nicely. They, as I watched this whole series, they played along nicely because they kind of had to, and it was one of those keep your friends close and your enemies closer. But then, obviously the fall of the Knights Templar, the Catholic Church, and King Felipe, I believe, was the two came together and kind of got rid of the Knights Templar. For those that are interested or listening, you should check out the program if you want to learn more about it. But it's called the Knights Templar, and it's on Gaia. But they built these cathedrals, which now it makes sense that you're saying this, that they're in the goddess sites, because they were much more balanced with the feminine dimension and than were the Catholics at the time.
Yeah. The Knights Templars, I have worked with a number of souls doing Akashic record clearings, and a number of men that come to me in previous incarnations, I see the mark of the Knights Templar on them. It's a crest, okay? And I see it. So they were, what I have been told by Spirit is they were the army of God in their truest form on the planet. For, let's say, in a physical army on the planet, because our God, Father, Mother God is not a God of war, but
Right.
as a physical army on the planet, that would have been the army of God on the planet. So, I mean, I would have, a number of men that are coming for Akashic clearing sessions with me, and it's one of the past lives that always comes in is a Knights Templar, because I see the mark of the Knights Templar. So you've got to understand these things. They will have an energetic symbol on them, still on them, on their soul, whatever, that's still there. And also connected to that will have been where they switched off other lights in souls, as in they took life. And that's why we have to remove these symbols, because they're of the physical world, in order to free that soul of the karma of having killed others. And every single soul on this planet, we have, apart from some of the very new souls coming into the planet in baby suits at the minute, they are very pure. They haven't taken life. They're not coming in with the karma. Okay. But we're still holding on to the karma and all those lifetimes where we did take lives, and we've all done it, So again, there's no judgment for everyone. It was part of that experience. And this is what we've got to understand. This is all one big human experience in order to help humanity evolve, because every time we have come here, our higher self has kept fading back the information of our experience, our human experience, back to source. So source is constantly learning and evolving as we're learning and evolving. And the choice in this life, this now moment, as Jesus calls it, at this most sacred hour upon the planet, humanity is evolving, whether we like it or not. It's already happened. It's all happened already. So when we see the players that are playing out on the stage at this moment in time, what they're just doing is showing us all the old debris that just needs to be swept up and cleaned up and tidied up. We need to make peace with it, because it all has to be exposed. It can't be hidden anymore. And I think everybody's we're seeing exactly who every soul is now. No one can hide anymore. Everybody's revealing themselves, because the light, the illumination, the great illumination at the minute, no one or nothing can hide. So everything is coming up to be cleared. Everything is rising up to the surface. The truth is being revealed. The great time of revelations is this moment in time. This secret hour upon the planet is the time of great revelation. So everything is being revealed in order that we can heal it. We can make our peace with it, and we can let it go. We can forgive it, and we have to forgive it, make our peace with it, and then it's done. So all these players, let's say shadow aspects of certain souls that are running on the planet, they're just serving us all. They're serving humanity, because they're helping us dredge up all the old, bring it to the surface. We go, oh, we don't want to choose that anymore, do we? Right, let's sort that out, make our peace, clean it up, and be done with it. So everybody has a role. Every situation that's going on in the minute of the planet has a role, as long as we just remember victory is already with us, and then everything becomes easier. We just see this as, oh, that's just happening because of that. That's happening because of that. And we just see it as one big cleanse. We have to cleanse it all to bring back the balance of the male and female,
I think that's a great place for us to kind of wrap up. I want to thank you again for joining. Is there anything, kind of last words you'd like to share about Margaret's work, or anything that we didn't get to that you really want to address before we wrap?
I just want to say to her, I admire her bravery. I admire her honesty, and I'm so glad a woman brought this work to the fore. And it shows you how brave we in female bodysuits in this lifetime have had to be in order to restore this balance. And I just want to say thank you to her as a soul, for I know how challenging this journey can be, but she already knows that she's so protected and safe anyway. But yeah, I just want to say thank you to her, and more of her work needs to be revealed. So people need to buy her books again that have been around for quite some time. So everybody just go and buy Margaret Starbird's books, please.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Siobhan Maguire. Please stick around. I'm going to wrap the show here, but thank you so much for your time and your grace for joining us.
Thank you, Ashley. Take care.
Today's show is brought to you by Morrison Alley. Morrison Alley focuses on leadership and team development through experiential learning. Experiential learning is proven to be the much better way for people to learn. People have enhanced communication and trust. They have better engagement in their job and satisfaction with their job. They make faster decisions as a team. It really improves communication and morale, and ultimately just leads to superior learning outcomes. So it's really focused around igniting the potential of your leaders, helping them overcome challenges and drive lasting team change. MorrisonAlley.com is where you should check this out. We also provide marketing and strategy work for businesses to help grow, implement new technologies such as AI to help streamline the business and improve efficiencies. Check it out, MorrisonAlley.com.
Thanks for listening to Ashley on Nothing But the Truth for a Better You and Me.